Bonjour.
Bonsoir. Dear friends, let's welcome back again our fabulous Lisa Perotti-Brown, who is coming back from great journey across the US. She'll tell us all about this. And we wanted to invite Lisa in our new destination, just got finished. You are one of the first one here because...
I love it.
Thank you.
It's everything that's near and dear to my heart, with all of the history and the cooking and, lots of utensils that I recognize from my childhood. It's wonderful.
That's right. So we are at Elizabeth Spencer Winery. This will be in the future called Rutherford Cross Estate because
I did not know that. New information.
Well, it's going to include a lot of activities.
Oh.
And dear friends, as you can see, Lisa is very much into wine, but as well food. Don't they go together?
They do. They do.
It's
definitely.
hard to imagine them apart, right?
It is. No, it is. Because, I absolutely believe that wine is part of a culture. And
Yes.
that culture has to do with gastronomy as much as it does with, obviously, the Venice pursuit. So, yeah.
And you've been cooking. Well, to that note, we cannot let our dry mouth continue to be dry. We need to irrigate with Sarah V. Fabulous latest. Well, it's your grape variety. You know it better than me.
Yes. Wow. It's 2021. This is delicious, isn't it? And I love the 2021 vintage. It's a nice sort of cooler vintage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tell our friends why you love 2021, because a lot of people are thinking, oh, the fires. A lot of people are thinking the droughts. A lot of people are thinking all those weather conditions here in the North Coast. But in fact, it's pretty good, right?
Yeah. 2021 was a lovely vintage here in Napa, and there was none of that year.
Yeah.
Obviously, everybody remembers 2020, and which was a challenging vintage for sure. But 2021 had, none of that going on, and just a lovely, moderate, longer growing season. And this is what we love, is basically when you get these longer, cooler growing seasons without the heat spikes and all of that, you give the grapes plenty of time to mature slowly, to acquire all of the complex aroma and flavor compounds that you need. If it's red varieties, then you get the tannins perfectly ripe.
Yeah.
So it's just a beautiful vintage. But for white wines as well as for red wines as well.
Which I'm so pleased to hear you say that, because we just tasted our 2021 and they're exemplary, phenomenal.
I know. I'm so excited for the reds. But it's nice to see the whites starting to come and hit the markets, because obviously there's a little bit of a gap in the market. There wasn't much that was made in 2020.
That's it.
From Napa. And there were some great wines, and particularly the whites. The whites are actually pretty special from 2020. And I have to say, I haven't tasted any whites that have any smoke taint issues or anything like that. And in fact, even though it was a warmer vintage, the whites have a lot of freshness and vivacity to them that's kind of counterintuitive.
Yes.
So I would, I wouldn't hesitate for anyone to purchase 2020 whites from Napa or Sonoma or anywhere in Northern California. But then you get to the reds, which is a different story. You kind of have to have an awareness of what happened with that property and what they decided to do in order to ensure that, what you're purchasing is going to be good.
Well, I'll drink to that, because, dear friends, you're getting the best advice. Remember, Lisa was running the Wine Advocate magazine for many, many years. And then she elected to start with Johan, one of her close friends, who is a great photographer, the phenomenal Wine Independent. So it's a huge deal. Not many people have the daring capacity and the entrepreneurship mind to do that, specifically in 2022, in the year we're living in, and she did it. And we'll talk about it, because she just came back from a great tour and new thing she's doing called the Summit, and we'll tell you all about it. But coming from her, this sign of confidence for 2021 is very exciting.
Yeah.
But what do you do with this? Do you make wine? This is quite exciting. So we've asked Lisa, within the environment of where we are, right here, kitchen memories. So this is a museum, dear friends, in many ways, or playground of all the memories you have through over 22 different categories in the kitchen of what tool you've used as a young cook, cooking maybe with your grandmother, mother, if you were lucky, or whoever in the kitchen, and have great memories.
Mm-hmm.
So we've asked Lisa to bring her favorite tool. Pretty sexy tool.
It is. It is. I love egg beaters, and they're so tactile. I remember as a kid, we didn't have much when I was a kid, but I loved playing with the egg beater, and the egg beater was always a fun thing for me. When my mom got out the egg beater, it meant she was making a cake. And so I have this. This actually sits in my wine cellar. This actual egg beater. I do have like little. It's funny that you should have this. Actually, this museum devoted to old kitchenware and kitchen devices, because the pieces from my childhood, like this, and like we were talking about the sifters,
Yes.
the flour sifters. I have these little decorative pieces in my wine cellar, because I do think that
Yes.
cooking and wine preparation go hand in hand. And like I said, just looking at this and then picking it up every now and then and just playing with it, it brings me joy, because it reminds me of happy memories of baking in the kitchen with my mom and making cakes. And my mom was one of those people who we would always have flour, we'd always have eggs, and we'd always have milk in the house. We'd always have the ingredients for making cakes.
Yeah.
And whenever
She was always ready.
she was, and she was always like, whenever there was an occasion, or even when there wasn't, she was just making a cake, and it would always make things, happy and better.
So talking about cakes, what kind of cakes?
Oh, okay. All kinds of cakes. My mom's favorite and our favorite was always chocolate.
Yeah.
And so it was like just a basic chocolate cake that was kind of gooey in the middle, and it had this like a real thick fudge icing on it. My kids are actually buttercream kids. I could just make buttercream icing.
Yeah.
Basically all it is butter, powdered sugar, a little vanilla. And I instead of using water, which is what you usually use in buttercream, I actually use a little half and half. So
Oh,
it's
really?
it's a very rich buttercream, but my kids love it. And so when I make it for cakes for their birthdays or whatever, I mean, they'll sit down and eat the bowl of
dear
buttercream
friends,
icing.
A confidence tonight. We're going to have dinner together because it's pre-Thanksgiving. We're going to start celebrating and have cookies.
I love
We're going to have a
Thanksgiving.
melting chocolate cake.
Oh, this is my
Ooh la
favorite.
la.
Yeah. Well, that's going to bring back the childhood memories, because as I was saying, my mom would make this fudge icing on it. That was really thick and gooey and rich. That was my favorite.
So was the kitchen in your family as well that place where you all gathered and you share stories and you cook together, whatever it is, fancy or not fancy?
Absolutely. We had such a small house. There was no place else to go. But it was.
That's the
it
cool
was.
part.
Yeah, we all hung out in the kitchen. Absolutely. That was the fun place, and that's where all of the great smells.
Yeah.
That is where my nose was developed. Isolating. The smell of vanilla, the smell of cinnamon, the smell of cloves, the smell. All of those
Yes.
spices that you used. From making things from scratch. And the fond memories of each of those, of walking in the kitchen and being able to pick out everything that my mom had put into a dish.
I could see
just
that.
from the smell.
Coming from. So what is for you your most favorite memory with your own kids? Being in your kitchen and cooking with them, because I really feel it's so important, dear friends, in this lovely place, we all can fill a little form as you exit, fill your best kitchen memories.
Mm.
And I love it. For me, it was always making cookies at the time of Thanksgiving and
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Because my mother had for everyone in the family a cookie little tin, beautiful little box. And you took it after Christmas and you remembered Christmas for 30 or 40 days because you ate all the cookies
Yeah.
we made. But every day,
Wow, they
morning,
lasted 30 or 40
Oh.
days.
Well, because we made a big box per
okay.
person.
Oh, okay, cool.
But it was so fun because my sister, my mother, my two grandmothers all be in the kitchen for weeks doing cookies.
It's so fun. But I was just thinking that when you said that, what's my memory with the kids, because, you know, in the run up to Christmas, you know, there will come that weekend day, that Saturday, where I get out all the cookie cutters.
Yes.
You know, and we have so many now.
For sure.
And, you know, I spread them all out, you know, and I'm like, okay, today's cookie making day, you know, and we get and, you know, it's basically sugar cookies with all different types of toppings and things like that. And some of them will put frosting on, but, you know, you get to pick out your shapes, and it's just a full day of baking tray after tray after tray.
And do you actually eat them after? Or
Absolutely.
you just give them away?
Until we're sick.
Yeah. And what wine do you do red wine too with cookies?
No.
You do champagne or desserts? Or?
I will probably require a glass of champagne at some point in the day.
And do you cook, as you cook those cookies, do you drink wine or?
No, we usually start fairly early in the day. We'll start at about noon, but you know, it will go on for the afternoon. So like I said, there's a point where I'm like, okay, it's time for the champagne.
And don't you think what I remember so much is the incredible stories that come out of my grandmother or mother or sister as we all rolling the pastry or dressing up the cookie or doing all that. You talk endlessly. You don't listen. There's a music background, but we talk.
Yep.
And we just talk about everything and anything.
I remember when stories, you know.
Yeah. What was your favorite?
Oh, I don't know. It's funny because little things about, you know, like the shape of a cookie cutter, or, you know, something that you're doing will remind you of a memory. And then, you know, it might be a memory that I've shared with the kids, but it might be a memory from my childhood.
That's right.
And so, you know, it brings out, cooking together does bring out memories, doesn't it? Because as we know, you know, aroma compounds are so evocative of memories.
Yes.
And you smell something and suddenly you're transported back to a time when you were doing that. And particularly cooking. I mean, the smell of cinnamon is one of my favorite smells on the planet for that reason, because it reminds me so much of my childhood and of baking and of happy, you know, days in wintertime, and it's Christmas. And
that's right. Now,
this is like Christmas in a glass, isn't it?
I know. Cheers.
No, it's like
this
lots
is
of baking
Sarah's
spices in there.
new Cabernet from Napa Valley. I know there's a big part of it from Rutherford, where we are today.
That is yummy.
And that's the wonderful vintage 2019.
I love 2019. Such a great vintage.
Yeah, what do you think of this wine?
I like it. It's got a little even more density than a lot of 2019s do. It's got a lot of spice to it. A little bit of a kiss of oak in there as well. Yeah.
What would you pair it with?
What would I pair
Because
it?
Lisa is an amazing wine taster because she's a great chef as well. And I think it really goes in pair. People who really great with food and pastry. I'm very impressed when I taste with pastry chef or, you know, great chef who have patisserie. They're typically amazing at wine. And specifically their nose is wow, overdeveloped.
You're right. You're right. I totally agree with you. This is quite a big, rich, full-bodied wine. You know what? The first thing that popped in my mind, and it's because I've just come back from Texas and Dallas doing events, is, you know, when we went to one of the best barbecue places in Dallas. It was called Slow Bone. Johan, was it called Slow Bone?
It was called Slow Bone.
Yes.
Ooh.
And we had brisket there. And this would go really well with brisket. Yeah. It was so good. Melt
Good to
in your
be
mouth
remembered.
brisket.
So you've been traveling. So besides the kitchen, you know, Lisa started this new incredible magazine online, absolutely gorgeous, named The Wine Independent. So you'll find, again, if you haven't subscribed, many of you have already, but if you haven't, you know, you can today in the chat. So, you know, you starting as well a new vision of promoting wine and wine tasting and what you write about through a form of a summit. Tell us about it.
Well, when we started the publication, when we started the Wine Independent, we knew that, of course, we wanted to be a critical publication
Yes.
to do reviews about wine and to be independent. That's all in the name. But we wanted to do things a little bit differently, and straight away when you go to the website, you'll see that all of the photography is professional. It's either done by Johan, who's lurking in the background here, or it's done
He's
by
taking our pictures.
Yes.
Ooh, we love it.
or it's done by another wonderful Swedish photojournalist that we have working for us, Svante Ornberg, who's also based in Sweden.
Yeah.
We want to capture, the emotions behind wines and places and the people who are making the wines, and really, captivate people's imaginations, because we're this is where we're going nowadays.
Yes.
We're much more sort of visually aware, and a lot of it has to do with social media.
Yes.
But a lot of it has to do with just modernization, the ability of people to bring a camera in their pocket now.
That's right.
And to film things and things like that. So we're much more about visual storytelling as well as the words. We do have a great database and search capabilities on the website with more filters than any other wine criticism website, including the ability to search by body, by alcohol level, by major grape variety, all of these things.
And I love this because, dear friends, no one else does it that way.
Yeah.
And it's so important. Imagine you had tonight a beautiful sole meunière, a light fish with a beautiful butter sauce. You don't want to go necessarily with this wine.
Yeah.
Frankly, that would be maybe too overpowering. You could choose the entry of your wine through the style.
Well, this is it. If you know that you're doing a Saule Meunier and you want a light-bodied Chardonnay, say something more of a Chablis type of style, or you want, a Sauvignon Blanc, but you don't want, a 15% alcohol Sauvignon Blanc. You want something more like a 12.5% alcohol Sauvignon Blanc. You can dial these in on our website because we have all of the alcohol levels. We have the body levels across light to medium, medium to full, and full body. So you can find the style of wine that you're looking for, which is, for me, in many ways, even more important than the score.
Yeah.
Because we all have a vision in our mind about a style of wine that we want to drink that night, maybe to pair with something, or just what we're in the mood for. And it doesn't matter if, what you're looking at is a 100-point wine, if it's not of the style that you want to drink. So I always think that style outweighs whatever the score or even the quality might be, because you might never be in the mood for that style of wine over there. What you want is this one over here.
And that's why my question to all of you and to everyone is always, what's your style? And what's your mood?
Exactly.
Because it really guides what you want to eat, what you want to drink, the desserts you want to have. But what I'm so excited, because, dear friends, it's one thing to know how to write a good review on wine, which obviously you've mastered so well, but you're a great speaker. And this is how we met, when you were doing an incredible presentation on Australia. And Australia happens to be the place I'm not as familiar as I would be with many. And you enchanted me, you inspired me, you wanted me to go there. It was an hour presentation here in Napa Valley at the Meritage, right? I will never forget. And, then obviously, very fortunately, we've met all along. And what is important is for you to explain us where can all our friends come and see you? Because you just did a big tour across the US,
We did, yes. And we're going to be doing more tours. One of the things that, I know very much from working with Robert Parker is that his success was not overnight, not at all. He started out in 1978 and he had what was basically a pamphlet almost. It was a newsletter, but it was very small and very humble beginnings. He borrowed some money from his mom to be able to print the issues and leave eventually his job as a lawyer. and do the Wine Advocate. But it took a lot of, in person, convincing of people of who you are. You aren't entitled to people being loyal to you.
That's right.
And so more and more so, we want to travel to cities around America and around the world to be able to do events with people. And we've just come back from New York and Dallas, where we've done some BYO events with consumers.
Bring your own
Wine bottle.
wine bottle.
Wine bottle, yeah. So it basically, we're not charging for our time or who we are. It's the price of the dinner and a subscription to the Wine Independent. It's so really what we're doing is talking to people about what we do and talking about wine and showing them who we are.
Yes.
And it's that kind of relationships that you build up with your subscribers. We are prepared to do it slowly, organically, and
Yes.
and grow and get real loyalty with people.
Which is very exciting. So as you join the Wine Independent, then you'll see invitations to come to those events. And I think it's a lot of fun because at those events, you obviously speak about wine.
Obviously,
You comment wines, you have a theme. So
Yeah.
you did the Commanderie of Bordeaux.
Yes, we did one of the events we did was with the Commanderie de Bordeaux in New York City, but also in Dallas. Then we did events with Food and Wine,
Great.
I should say Wine and Food Society of New York.
Yeah.
And we did events with no society or anything, just to do it with
That's right.
consumers that love wine. We're looking to do more and more and more of those, and those are probably the more accessible events for anyone.
Yes.
And that's what we want to do. We want to make ourselves accessible to anyone, but we're also doing very high end events as well, because we very much believe that being able to create unique once in a lifetime experiences for people and to share those with
Yes.
people is also important. And we're just about to launch, or we've just opened interests up for our very first summit event, which is an event for a very small group of people that we're going to be doing in Verbier.
Oh,
Yes.
Switzerland, dear friends.
Yes. So
Get your Swiss visa in, and we
it's
go.
in March. It's in the height of ski season.
Nice.
And it's at a chalet there. And it's, I should say it's not just any chalet. It's one of the most exclusive chalets in all of Verbier.
Which is a very fabulous place.
Yeah, so we'll have just a few couples that will be joining us, and we've got chateau owners coming 3 nights in a row.
Wow.
So we've got Jacques Tienpont from Le Pen,
Great.
and then we've got a dinner with La Conseillante and Figeac,
Great.
who are 2 wineries in
Yeah.
Bordeaux that are good friends.
Yeah.
And so they enjoy doing events together. And so we've got, what's the third one? Montrose. Sorry, how could I forget Montrose? One of my favorite chateaux in Saint Estèphe. And we've got Pierre Graffoy coming to
Right.
host that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And we're doing one other dinner, aren't we? Are we doing a BYO as well? Yes, we should just get Johan to say it.
He doesn't want to, but he
He doesn't like
promised.
to be in front of the camera.
He's typically behind, but he promised to do, next time he comes back to the US, a show to present all his phenomenal photography on Wine Independent and all what he does, behind the camera. So it's going to be fun to see.
He'd better do that.
Yes. Well, he said
Because
yes.
that will be exciting.
And, he committed to it. So I love those events.
Yes,
So how many
that's going to be
year?
a week. That will be a big week-long event where people stay and everyone's like-minded. Everybody's super passionate about wine. We've got great winemakers,
Yeah.
top wineries in Bordeaux there. Oh gosh, yes, I forgot about the 2-star Michelin chef. So we've got a 2-star Michelin chef coming from Volmers in Sweden,
Nice.
in
Wow.
Malmö, Sweden, coming to do all of the catering for the dinners and creating special menus to go with the wines that night. I should, mention as well that the wines are being purchased by us from the chateau
I
as
see.
well. There's no wineries that are donating or being coerced into doing this. We're very much paying for everything, and that was by invitation only for those wineries. But really what it's about is, like I said, getting closer to consumers.
That's key.
And creating wonderful experiences that they'll speak about for a lifetime.
Forever.
And that's what we want to do, because that's what we believe wine is.
Yes.
The Verbier Summit experience won't be for everyone, but we're creating a wonderful ECAM dinner that we're going to be doing in Sweden, and other dinners that we're looking to do in the
And you're
spring
going to have
here
the
in
Mona
US.
Lisa smile. Pierre, I love what
Oh,
you
you
said.
read that article?
Of course. I read the Wine Independent. Don't think that I
But
just
isn't that
subscribe.
a great photo as
Yeah.
well of Pierre Lurton if you go to the homepage?
And Pierre, you realize that the Mona Lisa, we never knew if he was a man or woman, right? So that's the big dilemma of the painting. So maybe we'll have to find more about you.
Yeah.
I may be the only one who knows all those secrets.
The Da Vinci Code secret.
Da Vinci Code. The Da Vinci Lurton secret.
Yes.
But that's so cool. So you plan to do once a quarter those summits, or every other month, or?
Well, I don't know that we're doing. How often are we going to be doing them? Maybe
Well,
once.
The big one.
Once a year.
Not very often.
Yeah, maybe once a year. That's it.
Yeah.
Because that's at that one end
For
of the
sure,
spectrum. But
yeah.
we do want, and we are doing already, much more sort of humbly priced
For
events
sure.
that are accessible.
Well,
to
which is
anyone.
very important, because we want to come to those. They don't have to be a whole night. They could be a few hours. We get a lecture.
Yeah. And then we want to do the deep dives into wineries like ICAM, where and ones that aren't, you don't see all of the time,
That's right.
and we're actually going out there on the markets and going to the cellars and buying older vintages that people don't see all of the time.
That's great.
And speaking to the chateau owners and telling us, what do you think is drinking great?
That's true.
That people don't get to drink it all the time, or you don't see on the markets anymore.
I know. Your dear partner was showing me a ECAM 1947 earlier today.
Yes.
Not too bad. I was not invited to this one, but maybe to the 69 or 67 vintage.
Yes. There we go. Those are the greatest vintages.
Those are the best. So anything you want to share now, because it's been really exciting. We've had Lisa at the beginning, a week before she announced the...
That's right. You guys got the scoop. Didn't
We
you?
got the scoop. We never said what it was. And then a week later, she launched with Johan this amazing new publication. So now it's been roughly 7 months, 6 months. How do you feel about it?
Really good. Yeah, the reception has been so heartwarming. We've got a great group of subscribers already. We're getting out there and meeting people and sharing wines with them. The response and the that we've been getting back from people about the articles has been wonderful. It's really exceeded both of our expectations, and we're just completely in awe and humble at the same time about how it's gone, because obviously this is our dream and this is our baby, and
Well, which is not easy to do.
no,
I mean,
we don't take any of it for granted.
launching a publication in 2022 in February and March, and understanding what the status of the economy is, the status of where we are, a war, high interest rates, recession, all those, difficult indicators. I mean, we got to say, we're all concerned about the future, and you did it, and you're doing it, and bringing people together. So we hope we can host a big event in the new studio kitchen, Memories, one day.
That would be fun.
We could put 100 people in line on those long tables right here, looking at Highway 29 in the Mayacamas and dream about food and wine.
That would be great.
And we could be in the kitchen together and cook.
Yeah. What are you gonna make?
Well, I'm gonna
make a cake?
use your tools. Maybe in the glass. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, it
You
would
can
be
make
so
some mean
fun.
cocktails with that.
That's right. Hey, can you imagine your Gene Fees is almost ready with your pure egg white?
There you go.
That would be a nice one.
That would be nice. Awesome.
Gene Fees. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us again on the show.
Thank
And
you.
congratulations, you know, 1 for all those great recipes at home, 2 for the summit, 3 for the wine independent, and all what you do for the world of wine. So anything you want to share as a last comment to our friends?
No, I'm just happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
That's
and,
right.
Enjoy the journey, enjoy the cooking, and don't forget to have that chef's glass of champagne.
Ooh, here we are. Lisa Perotti-Brown, dear friends, the wine independent, and soon to come, the summit.
Thank you.